Hello everybody! Welcome back to our WordPress training video series, and on this video we'll be covering post. Now, for post, think of these as your blog post or individualized pages on a topic that you want to share expertise, thoughts, opinions, any type of content on. In order to access the posts of your website, you'll first want to log in to your dashboard. After a successful login, you'll want to click on Post on the left-hand vertical navigational panel. So over here, you can see Post. If I left-click on it, it will direct me to this screen. Now, once I'm on this screen, there's a lot of information that I can use to my advantage. First, you'll notice that it has all of our posts here. On our example website, we only have 2 posts, but you may have substantially more. You may also have a draft post. They will all display here. Now, if you're starting from scratch, you're likely going to want to press Add New to create a new post from scratch. If, however, you have some established posts that you are happy with, you have a few tools to work with. Specifically, you have Clone and Duplicate. These are very similar, however, there is a stark difference. With Clone, you will essentially clone all the settings within. So it will clone the author, the categories, the tags, all those type of things, and the featured image within the post. If you press Duplicate, you will create a copy that does not bring over those settings. So you have to reapply your featured image, your categories, your tags, so on and so forth. So feel free to use that to whichever is more comfortable for you. Now, let's show you how to add a new post and edit/modify any current post you have. Let's first begin with Add New, and then I will cycle out of Add New into Edit so you can see real time what a post looks like when you've filled in the blanks. So when we press Add New, you will see we have a bunch of different information here. We have our title, we have visibility, publish date, URL, all types of different things. Don't get overwhelmed. There's a couple we want to focus on. First, always focus on adding a title. Your title is directly pulled in many instances, so add a great title that suits your blog. Next, decide when you want to publish it. Would you want to publish immediately? Would you want to publish in the future, for example? You can decide that using Publish. Visibility is also useful because you can see public, private, password protected. You can manipulate your post to be exactly how you want it to be. Do you want it to be public, private? Do you only want people with a password to access it? This is where you do that. Now, your options may not always be in this order. They may not always be summary, categories, tags, featured image, but you will always have featured image, tags, categories, so on and so forth. So find your categories and go ahead and click whatever categories your blog will be, or add new categories that are sufficient for what you are looking for. Head down to tags, find some different tags you want to tag your blog under. So if I was doing a cupcake blog, I could say cupcakes, baking goods, and I probably wouldn't want to add cookies, so if I added something accidentally, I can just click it to delete it. Great. Head downwards more to featured image. Setting featured image is simply clicking it and finding an image that suits your blog well. If you don't find an image here or you have one you want to upload, head over to Upload Files and drop it here or select it. Then simply press it, set featured image, and move onwards. Then, excerpts are generally optional. However, excerpts are important if your posts are being pulled onto some sort of list and they have an excerpt attached to them. So, for example, you'll see on my website, there is no excerpt. There's no text describing what the post is. There's simply a title, a featured image, and a read more button. If you have text describing what your post is, that would be your excerpt, and you would want to place that here. Okay, great. So now we've covered the basics. What does that look like when we flesh it all out? So I will click this little icon up here to view post. And you'll see I'm back to my post. I will press Edit. Great. So now you can see here's what a title would look like. Visibility, a publish date, when our categories are selected, tags are selected, a featured image with no excerpt, but you could add one if your homepage or you're pulling the post into the homepage or wherever you are pulling it requires it. Altogether, that will end up looking like this: the title, the featured image behind it, and a possible excerpt. What I will mention is when I say look like this style and design may not be the one on your website. That's fine, but the title, the featured image will generally hold true. So even if you had the title above and the image below, you would still pull the featured image from here, the title from here, and that's why it's important to always fill those out. Okay, so let's say you're ready to actually stylize your post. You have the text, you have your copy, you have your images, you're ready to get started. How do you really get into the nitty-gritty and accessorize it? Well, let's go ahead and start from scratch, and I'll show you a much easier way once you've done your first post. So let's press Add New. And I highly recommend when you're adding new posts, you fill out the fundamentals first. So add in your title. Okay, put in some categories, set a featured image. I believe I put cupcakes there, so let's put in some cupcakes. Great. Add an excerpt as necessary. Okay, and I'll press Save Draft. Great, so my fundamentals are done. Now to actually stylize it, we're always going to want to press Launch Thrive Architect. Okay? The first time you make a new blog post, it may look like this. Afterwards, the Launch Thrive Architect will actually commandeer and sit around this area. So I press Launch Thrive Architect. Okay, and a couple of things that come to mind immediately. Remember our featured image? Right now we're at a template, what we call the post template. This will be set for you ahead of time as part of the project. Now, with your post template, you may have something that pulls the featured image. In this case, my title and my featured image are immediately pulled in the template. Great. You see it says Edit Current Template. I don't want to modify that. That is global, so that will pull for every post. What I do want to modify is the post content over here. You'll see it's a square. Now, if I want to change this or add something in, we're going to start using Thrive Architect. If you haven't already, I recommend viewing the Thrive Architect video, but we can cover the basics here as well. So in the top right, you'll see this plus. Go ahead and click on Add Element. And from here, you can drag any element you want into the post content. So let's say I want to add some text, an image, and maybe a heading. So I would start by dragging some text. You see I left click it, I hold it down, I drag it around. I drag it inside post content. Great. I go again, add element. I can add an image. I can drag it around. It'll ask me for my image. No worries. Let's just put something random for now to save time. Okay, great. And let's add a heading too. So I'll take this and I will drag this over, and you'll see because I have two elements side by side, the image and the text, they join what we call columns. If I add the text above the columns, it will function effectively as a heading for them. Now you start accessorizing or stylizing. So I'll probably change from paragraph over here into, say, heading 2. Okay, great. And I just need some sort of a heading. Let's say our heading is... Okay, great. But I just need some text. So let's add some text over here for our body text. Okay, fantastic. And then let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, so now we have what you can visually see as the start of our blog. Of course, we want to fine tune it more. We want to add more images. We want to add more text. Maybe I could shrink this image down a little bit more to see if it fits in. Okay, I can go over here to layout and position, and I can align it to the middle. So now it looks a little bit more similar to what we would find on a blog post. What you can also do is use the block function in Thrive Architect. So we created this from scratch. We took two text elements, we took an image, we individually modified them. That's great. But if you go over here and take a block, if I drag it over and put it underneath our columns, watch what happens. We actually have template pop-ups that help us create style without having to actually individually put every element in the style or element itself. So for example, if I want a list of steps, I could click here, which will bring those steps over, and you'll notice it automatically changes into the color scheme of our website. All you want to do then is just change the text to suit for whatever you would like. And of course, you can always add individual things if you wanted. If I wanted another image, I could bring it over here, for example, and put an image right there, like that. I probably wouldn't want to do that because it's a very large image and it detracts from the entire experience, but if you wanted to, you could. In this case, I'll simply delete it by pressing this or press undo right over here to remove that image. And then once you finish accessorizing or stylizing your post, you must be sure to save your work. If you do not save it, it won't save. In this case, I'm not going to save this because I don't want to create a new post here. So I will just exit without saving. And what I would do instead is I'll head back to my dashboard and look for a post to show you the easier way after you've already made a post that you like. To get back to my dashboard, I can head to the top left, Mint Speaking, and left click it. Great. From here, I can click on Post again. And then what I will do is I will ignore the post that we just tinkered with. And instead, if I'm trying to create a new post and I have one that I already like, I will simply clone or duplicate, whichever you prefer. I generally prefer clone, but it's up to your preference. So if I press clone, it will take us to this screen, and now you can see what it looks like when Thrive Architect commandeers the editing. Great. I would want to change the title here. I would want to change the categories. So over here, so on and so forth. I'd want to change the featured image, write an excerpt as I need to, and press Launch Thrive Architect. And what you will see is this clone, and of course these images and title will change for our new blog. This clone already has pre-formatting in it. So I can simply change the heading, change the subheadings, change the text, change the images, and so on and so forth. This is a great way to save yourself a lot of time and busy work by simply recycling the content you've already put your hard work into, as opposed to creating something new from scratch every time.